Welcome to the Worth Listening podcast, where we focus on having positive and productive conversations around money. I'm your host, Lauren, a 4-time Olympian and certified financial planner. On this show, my guests share their money stories. Everyone has a unique story and experiences both wins and losses when it comes to money. My intent is to give listeners something they can relate to, something that builds their courage to be open and take control of their own money story. When I'm not creating a great show for my listeners, I'm running my company, Worth Winning, where I help individuals and families organize their finances. Check us out at worth-winning.com. All right, now on with the show. Hey, everyone. Happy last day of the year and last day of the decade. Wow, time is flying. I'm very fortunate to have been able to take 2 weeks away from client meetings. And I think it was really, really wonderful. It was nice to kind of sit down and recharge, but also to rest my voice. If you're an avid listener, you know there were quite a few episodes this year where I had pretty much no voice, but I pressed on anyway. So to take that time and be able to heal was a really big deal. But like I said, just to rest in general, because I think we all need a moment to think, reflect, take a break, unwind, decompress, you name it. We just got to chill sometimes. This year has been an interesting one. I feel like every year is an interesting year as we write our stories and live our lives, full of ups and downs always. So let's talk about some of the stuff that went on in my life this year. I was able to visit 11 countries, which was pretty awesome. I was working really hard to learn Spanish, and a lot of those 11 countries were Spanish-speaking countries. I want to be able to communicate with others, and the more people I can communicate with, the happier I'll be. So learning how to communicate has been an important part of this process. I also have a goal of learning French and sign language before it's all said and done. Not in the short term, but over the long term. 2 things I've dabbled in the past, but I'd like to get back to. But I figure one language at a time, one fish to fry at a time. Everything turns out good when you just focus. Another cool thing is I got 12 new ongoing clients. So I serve tons and tons of people all year. Some people come to me for short projects. Some people come for me for just 1-hour consultations. You name it. You know, I get to interact with hundreds of people each year from a financial standpoint. But the ongoing part where people decide to kind of do life with me is kind of the main part of the business. It's the thing that I'm most passionate about as it pertains to being able to serve individual families and couples. So 12 new clients this year is a really big deal. Then I published a book. Yes, it came out. If you didn't get it, go pick it up on Amazon. It is called The Oval Office, a 4-time Olympian's Guide to Professional Track and Field. Yeah, I know you might be turned off a little bit by the title, but neither here nor there. It was a passion project that I completed and I'm super duper proud of. It was me telling the next generation of track and field athletes what they need to be thinking about, looking for, big pitfalls to avoid as they go about being a professional athlete. And it was the thing that I wish I had when I was competing as a professional athlete. So there's a very niche market that is interested in what the topics that are covered in that book, but I also do a whole chapter on finances that is worth reading no matter who you are, whether you're in sport or not. And I'm just really, really excited that I got that done because it took a while. It was expensive. I did it wrong. So if anybody out there is interested in writing a book, please reach out. I can tell you all the things not to do. But we made it. We made it there. And I got to see it in print and I'm really proud. Another thing that was really cool about this year was I served 291 people specifically for student loan consultations. So almost 300 people I spoke to this year, and I saved them a total of $9.8 million. As I was thinking about what I wanted to say in this episode, I pulled up my little spreadsheet where I document the consults, and I was like, what are those numbers? And I think that's the thing that's really cool about reflecting on all the things that you've done this year, all the things that you've collected, because often we think about all the things that were terrible and we just say, I want to get 2019 behind me, move on to the next year, etc. But if we take some real time to reflect and to really think outside the box about the things that we're doing, there's a lot that we can be proud of. I don't know what made me even think to look at that spreadsheet, but almost 300 people helped and $9.8 million saved. I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back. That's work that matters. That's work that matters immensely. Now, on the flip side, it was not all sunshine and roses this year. The workload that I carried caused my health and my wellness to fall to the back burner. Me being here, there, and everywhere did not lend itself to me being in the gym or doing other things pertaining to my fitness. Having multiple meetings per day, sometimes 12 to 15-hour days, also caused me to pick up whatever was convenient, which was often fast food. And I think it's a little bit painful having been a professional athlete once upon a time. And this is the idea that when you know better, you do better. And I definitely knew better, but I did not do better this year. So that's definitely something I want to focus on doing a little bit better on. And this 2 weeks, I've, like I said, been doing yoga and just been really consistent with trying to get on a workout schedule that's going to work for me and creating stability. So not super proud of how my health and wellness were this year. And then for something that's pretty fresh on my mind, I'm kind of mad still, y'all, if I keep it real, is my renter moved out. So I have a house in Miami and I'm trying to put it on the market. The renter's not been great the last few months, but still thought everything was okay. And I pretty much did everything I tell my clients not to do. My job is to warn you about all the bad things that could happen and the reason that this could be financial mistake A, financial mistake B. What are the risks involved with doing things? And the long story short is the renter moved out, finally got him out, but he trashed my home, the home that I was preparing to put on the market. House was supposed to be on the market in October. Here we are in December and it's not on the market yet. And I've had to pump a bunch of money into getting it prepared now, from getting his belongings out, deep cleaning the house. It was just awful. Really, really, really awful situation. So one of the bad things that happened this year, if you're thinking about real estate or rental property, everybody thinks it's all the rave, but there's a lot that goes into it. And there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of stuff that you won't see coming. Look, hit me up before you decide you want to be a landlord. And then one other thing that I'll share with you about the not so hot side of things that happened in 2019 is while I got to spend a lot of time with family on various trips for special occasions, not everybody is speaking to each other. And it's been really, really painful. So for those that don't know, I have 5 sisters and 2 brothers. My mom says we put the fun in dysfunctional, and it's always been kind of a running joke because we don't all have the same mom and dad and all that, but we're family. We make it work. So it's just been a really big deal for me to be speaking to half and kind of not speaking to the other half. And I actually really want to squash the drama and just get over it and move forward. But everybody has to do it in their own time, and some of the others are not ready. So in 2020, I really, really hope that we can get past it because life is short. I just talked to a friend who lost 2 family members this year. And I think that we need to focus on how precious time is and not being angry or mad at each other. So yeah, bad things are never fun, but I think it's important to acknowledge them as part of the process, especially as we're thinking about looking forward toward the future. So as a financial planner, I'm sure it's no secret that I truly believe in the importance of planning, but in all aspects of your life. And I don't think that we need to make a bunch of resolutions that we're not going to stick to, but it is definitely necessary to do some planning and do some reflecting as the beginning of that process for planning. So I challenge you to sit down and do just that. Think about what you accomplished this year. Sit down and look at your numbers. They're so important. The same way I came up with the 291 and the 9.8 million, it took me sitting down and actually looking at my numbers. If you don't have a budget, get one. But if you don't have one, there's still ways to look at what was your spending like this year. You can find that by logging into your bank account, looking at your credit card statements. What percent of your money got spent on various things versus what percent of your money got spent on housing? What percent got spent on daycare? Know your numbers and understand what percent of your income that is so that you can plan and look forward as to what it is you want to change and accomplish in the years coming up. If you don't know that you're spending 50% of your income on groceries, then how can you make any changes accordingly? Once you see those numbers, like write it down, make it real. Those are the things that prompt people to want to make change. But also, as you're thinking about what you accomplished, look back over the last 10 years, because it's been 10 years, everyone, since the last decade. So this is a great time to do that 10-year reflection. And then think about what you want for your life over the next 10 years as well. So look back on the past 10 years. If you're 33, that means you were 23 10 years ago. If you have a 13-year-old, that means you had a 3-year-old 10 years ago. A lot has happened over the last 10 years. So make sure you take a moment to look back. But like I was saying, also think about what you want over the next 10 years. Because if you're 36, you'll be 46. And on and on and on. Whatever those numbers are for you, go ahead and think about what they are and what you want to have accomplished by then. And then what are the action items to help you achieve those goals or those things that you want for your life? The new year gives you a clean slate, but you also have a clean slate every time you wake up. Every new day that you get is an opportunity to start over, start fresh, and make changes. So while I'm encouraging you to do some year-end reflection, do some decade-end reflection, understand that you're not going to get it all right from the very beginning. That was one thing that once I realized that and understood, oh, simply waking up another day, I get a new chance. I don't need to start a diet on a Monday. I can start it on a Tuesday. I can start it on a Thursday. I don't have to start at the first of the month. Those are definitely things that we all tend to do. It's Monday. Here's a new thing. It's halfway through the year. Here's a new thing. It's the new year. Nothing wrong with that, but don't take for granted the opportunity to just get up and make today the day that you make changes and you don't look back, but you start moving forward. Nobody's perfect. We all get tripped up from time to time. One of the best things you can do to help yourself achieve your goals is pick one thing. So make a theme for this year. It can be learning, it can be exercise, it can be nutrition, financial wellness. And that doesn't mean you picking one thing lets everything else fall by the wayside. If you pick learning this year, it doesn't mean that you don't exercise for the whole year. It's just that you're very focused on one thing and all your energy is going to that one place so that you can make sure that you make gargantuan efforts in that area. I think often we bite off more than we can chew and we get overwhelmed and then we just give up. You can't say, I'm going to start working out, lose 50 pounds, get all my finances in order. I'm going to speak 4 languages by the end. We just do way too much. And then we're not accomplishing our goals because we're overwhelmed and we just give up on everything. So pick one thing that's awesome that you really think you can stick to and make that thing a priority and focus on it. Take some time to look back, but also think about how it's going to be different moving forward. What are the action items you're going to take to make sure that you make change in that area? Now, speaking of looking forward, let me tell you a little bit about some of the things I'm excited about in 2020. The first thing is the launch of my course. I have been working so hard to get this done, guys. This was a 2019 goal for me, and I barely made it, but I did. It is done. It is recorded, ready to go. And boy, does it feel good to have that off my plate. Well, not off my plate, but to be launching it for 2020. And the whole purpose of the course is to be able to give more access to people who are trying to get their finances on track. So it's 3 parts. First one being money mindset. The second one being spending and debt. And then the third one being a good overview of all the other financial topics, because I want to help people avoid making the mistakes that keep them from even getting started with creating wealth. We know that there are barriers to entry with getting access to information. And I want to help as many people as possible get access to the resources they need. This is a true point of passion for me. So creating this course is going to allow people who wouldn't normally be able to afford my services to go through the course, hold themselves accountable, and by holding themselves accountable and doing the things that I've provided in the course, to get access to me on a one-on-one basis to make sure that we're customizing some aspects of things. So that's the way my course is different from others. It's not somewhere you just click through and you should be good to go, because we know most people don't follow through on courses like that. When it's online, on demand, very seldom do people get from the start to the finish. They buy it with good intentions, but they don't actually get to the end of it. So you're still going to meet with me if you decide that the course is the right thing for you, so that we can talk about what you learned in the different lessons, and then also how you're going to move forward, take action to meet your new financial goals. The second thing that I'm excited about in 2020 is sharing with more groups of people. So I've done a lot of thinking and reflecting, and I've gotten really excited about being able to share with the masses, because in that way you can impact more people. So I do a fair amount of speaking already, but I'm finally getting ready to be more intentional about my messaging, about sharing more of my story, and definitely sharing more of my financial knowledge, because I know that it matters. So be on the lookout for more speaking engagements, lunch and learns, keynote addresses. I did a really big one this year with this CFP Diversity Summit and talked about my experience as a Black female in the financial industry. And I didn't realize that sharing that information was so important. I got a standing ovation afterward, and it was mind-blowing for me, because I did put my heart and soul into the speech, but it was literally me just sharing a part of who I am with a bunch of people, and I didn't know if they would connect with my message or not. And last but certainly not least, I am looking forward to making the podcast look a little bit different in 2020. I'm going to a season format, and I'd like to start deep diving into topics. So I'm thinking 4 episodes at a time on a specific topic. And I'm still kind of brainstorming this out, so I'd love to hear from you guys on what you think. But some of the topics I've got on my list are the racial wealth divide, money mindset, giving, retirement, talking to kids about money, budgeting, debt, paying bills, relationships and money. Do we get joint accounts or separate accounts? We can't figure out how to have that conversation. I got my accredited financial counselor certification earlier this year, and I think that's going to help me quite a bit with being able to talk to people and help them better understand how to move forward in areas that they feel stuck because of past trauma that they've had. So really excited about how to be able to create more topics, really hone in on a few things, and be able to expand those topics for you. So please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out if you have ideas. Nothing is set in stone yet. I would love to hear from you all on what would keep you listening. I love you all very much. I am glad that you think this podcast is worth listening to. And I invite you to reach out and share what you love about the podcast, your thoughts for improvement, anything you want to share. I do this for you. I hope 2020 brings you lots of awesome times. Happy New Year!